Hey guys, and welcome back to my garage and the Ferrari 308. Today's task is to check over the ignition system. I'm just going to do a quick check on the HT leads, making sure I've got power coming to the spark plugs, and for that I'm going to be using these little things here. It's very simple. It just plugs on the top of the plug and the lead clicks to the top of it. There's a little bulb inside which lights up just to say there's power in there. Very simple and relatively cheap as well. After that I shall pull the plugs out, give them a bit of a clean up, and make sure the gap is correctly sized as well. I'm not expecting really any issues there at all, but it's just a good little job to do anyway. But whilst I've got the plugs out, I'm going to do a compression test. I'm kind of hoping everything's going to be okay. But I've had this car for a long time, I've done a lot of miles, it's been all around Europe, so whilst the plugs are out, let's just have a look and get a gauge of the condition of that engine. Alright guys, well that's that little job done, and as you could see the lights were flashing in line with the ignition when the car was turning over, so all good there. Next thing is to get the spark plugs out. Now these cars are a little bit on the awkward side. The plugs are set quite deep in with the cam covers, and the shaft going down to get to the plugs is actually quite narrow. So the standard socket sort of doesn't really fit there. The diameter of it is just too tight and you can't get it in there. Now Ferrari do a tool to get down there, which I don't have. What I ended up doing was actually buying a cheap tool from Halfords, which is quite narrow on the end there. It's quite long, so it slides down, and you've got the lever, which is all very well on the back bank where he's got loads of space to work there. But on the front bank, it's very tight up against the firewall. So my solution was really just to cut that off. That's just long enough just to fit down into that cam cover. I had an old socket that had split, so I literally just wedged it into the end there, and that is my special Ferrari tool, and a lot cheaper than the correct one. Anyway, let's get these plugs out and let's have a look. So rear bank on the left, front bank on the right. I mean, there's nothing really jumping out at me. Yes, they're a bit probably on the black side. They should be a nice browny kind of colour, but as I say, I've been having difficulties starting the car, so you know, the fact that there's probably extra fuel in there is yeah, I think we could probably just do a bit of a clean up, just check the gap size. But again, I've not done that many miles, so really the gap in these plugs shouldn't be far different from what they're supposed to be. But yeah, maybe they are a bit oily, but they're all similar, you know, so there's nothing really that's kind of standing out to say that you know, one plug, or I've got an issue with one cylinder over any of the others. So I'm just going to give these plugs a little bit of a clean up, so they look pretty good to me. Just a bit of a brush. I can check the gap, make sure that is as it should be. So as I understand, in these cars, the gap should be between 0.6 and 0.7 of a mil. So a bit of movement there maybe. Yeah, that's looking pretty good, I think. Alright, so a bit of a before and after. Plugs cleaned up, you know, they're not looking new, but they certainly should be good enough just to go back into the car and see what happens. Now whilst I've got all these out, I think it kind of makes sense to do a bit of a compression test. So I've got to say I'm a bit nervous about that, because I had the car a long time and not had anything major go wrong with it, touch wood. You know, I've done a lot of miles, it's had its use, it's been all over Europe, So yeah, I've used it, so it'd be interesting to see what comes up. So let's get the rest of these plugs cleaned up and then move on to a compression test. Moving on to the compression test. I've got my compression tester here that goes down and is in the first plug hole, plug number 4. Don't know why I didn't start with number 1, but there you go. Inside I have taken out the fuse for the fuel pump, so when I'm turning it over we're not spreading fuel everywhere, and I've also disconnected the coils as well, so I'm not putting power through here. So yeah, next job now is to turn it over and record the results. Okay, so that's the compression test done. I have the results here. First time round doing it on video was a bit worrying. They were ranging from 122 down to 70, and one of them I couldn't get a reading on at all. Anyway, I think the issue was more down to not sealing the compression tester correctly on that front bank, where it's a little bit tight to get in there. So I ran the tests again off of camera, and they came back a bit better. Ranging from sort of 115 to 125, so obviously a bit of a difference there, but kind of intolerance. However, one of the cylinders, number 3 on this rear bank, was reading at 95, so a little bit worrying, and I think that's going to need a little bit more investigation. So job now really get the plugs back in again, put things back together again. But before I get on with those carburetors, the Morris has come up with a bit of an issue, so I need to resolve that first, and I suspect it's a head gasket, but we shall see. But if you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up down there, just so I know that people are enjoying what I'm doing. And if you want to see what else I'm doing as well, hit the subscribe button over there. Okay, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.